ngOninit. Kindly watch the previous video before watching this video. In previous video, we have discussed in detail about lifecycle hooks of a component or directive. ngOninit is one of them. First, let us try to understand this with some use cases. Suppose employee list is a component where it displays the list of employees. Okay, in employees list component, we need to write some logic to fetch all the details of employees from the database server and display them in the template. Okay, here ngOninit is the right place to write this logic to fetch the employees list details from the database server. Another use case, suppose employee details is a component where it displays the details of an employee when employee ID is passed. Suppose employee details component is used within the app component, and app component is passing the employee ID to employee details component. In employee details component, we need to write some logic to take the value employee ID from the app component and get the details of an employee by using employee ID. Here ngOninit is the right place to get the employee ID passed from the app component and get the details of an details of employee by using this employee ID. Here in this video, we are going to discuss about this ngOninit in detail. Basically, ngOninit is useful to write some initialization logic or business logic when the component is initialized by Angular. Basically, this is called only one time in life cycle of the component. Suppose for any input property used within the component, then this will be called after first ngOn changes. To use this, we need to write method ngOninit within the component, and in that we need to write the required business logic. Let us try to understand this with simple example program. Here, this is the simple Angular application which was created by using Angular CLI. To save some time, I have made some changes. First one is I have added employee list component. Here in employee list component, I have created one table where it will be useful to display the employee details, and employee details contains id, name, department and salary. Okay, here I have used ngFud structural directive to fetch all the details from the employees list property and display them in tabular format. Here employee list is the property which is defined in employee list component. Here employee list is the property of type any. Any means any type of data can be assigned to this employee list. Here in employee list component, we need to fetch all the details of employees from the database server and assign them to this employee list. So this employee list details will be displayed in the component of employee list component. Okay. Here for this purpose, the right place to write this logic is ngOninit. Here, instead of fetching the details from the database server, I have created one JSON file where it contains all the details of employees. Here, three employees details are defined. Okay. In this ngOninit, we get the details from the JSON file and assign those details to this employee list component. Okay. To use this ngOninit, just we need to write ngOninit method within the employee list component. Okay. Here we need to fetch the details from JSON file. For this purpose, we have HTTP client service in Angular. Okay, this HTTP client service, if you want to use it in employee list component, first we need to inject that into this employee list component. Okay, for that purpose, we will use constructor. To inject that service, first we need to pass it as parameter to this constructor. Let me give some name, HTTP. That service name is HTTP client. Okay, this HTTP client is available in Angular common HTTP package. Okay, now HTTP client is injected into the employee list component so that we can use this client service. Okay, now in ngOninit, I'm writing the logic to fetch the details from employees data JSON file. For that, we need to write HTTP. Here we can see get, post, put. These are the actions. Delete. These are the actions that we can use for to fetch the data or to post some data to database server. All those things. Okay. To get the data, we need to use get method. Okay. Then we need to pass JSON file location, that is assets employees data dot JSON file. Then we need to write subscribe. Basically, subscribe is used to read the data. About this HTTP service and subscribe, we will discuss in further videos when we discuss about the services in Angular. Okay. Then we need to write some variable where subscribe data will be stored. This data needs to be assigned to employees list. This is the way we can read the data from employees data.json file. Okay. Now we assign this value to employee list, and that employee list will be displayed in tabular format. Let's see the output here. Yeah, we can see the data fetched from the JSON file and displayed in the tabular format. This is the way we can use ngOninit to write some business logic when the when the specific component is initialized by using Angular CLI. Here for simplification, we have used employees.json file to fetch the details. General case is we need to fetch the details from the database server, and that details needs to be displayed in employees list component. Thank you.